Okay, here we are for part 2. I've filled and completed this piece, and now I'm going to be cutting it out, attaching the back and this piece of buckskin, and edging with size 10 Cheyenne pink beads. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to cut the edge out. I want some of the smoked hide to peek through, so I'm going to trim not exactly up to the beads, but just a little ways away. There we go. It's about like this one. And I attached, I'm just looking where I want to line up. So this is the petal that I started with, and this is the petal that I started with. So I want to have it like a mirror image. So I'm going to attach the hook here. But first, let me show you how I back. So this is a piece of cardstock. It's acid free. I got it as a package in the scrapbooking aisle. Make sure that it's acid free because you don't want anything to affect or ruin your earrings as they age. So what I'm going to do is I use this to stiffen it, and I'm going to be gluing it to the cardstock using the Gorilla Glue Super Glue Gel. I use the gel because it doesn't soak through. There's my son. It doesn't soak through. If it's not the gel, it can soak through and end up fogging up your beads, which makes them look kind of frosted. So I just shook it a little bit, and I'm going to glue the back. I'm not going to go all the way to the edge because once it dries, if it's on the edge, it'll be very difficult to get your needle through. And I'm going to push down for a second. I'm going to use some scrap that I have here from cutting out to wipe that excess up. Usually I don't get enough to squeeze out, but I guess there's a first time for everything, right? And my thumb is stuck together. Okay, I'm just going to push on this for a little bit. In the meantime, I'm going to take my... Hey, Laith, I'm filming! Yeah, Laith. I'm going to take the piece of buckskin hide, and I'm going to take a little hole punch, and I'm going to punch the hole that will be going over the earring, over the earring hook, the earring back. So now that this is somewhat bonded, now I can cut around it and cut it out. Actually, I'm going to use a different pair of scissors because I want to keep those sharp. So where are my scissors that I cut paper with? Here we go. Yeah, I use my scissors for different things depending on what I'm doing. So I'm just kind of back cutting it a little bit as I'm cutting. I don't want the paper to go all the way to the edge. There. Throw that away. See how what I meant by back cut it a little bit so it doesn't go all the way to the edge. Okay, so now I'm going to see the petal that I first started with right here. This is the petal I started with over here. And so my back is going to be here. I'm going to actually remove that because I want to be able to get it in a similar spot. So here's the back, and I'm going to super glue it to the paper, but first I'm going to rough it up so the glue will stick better. I'm just using the nail file. I just want to get some scratches. See? That will help the super glue it here. And I'm just going to use my sleeve to wipe off the dust. And take my handy dandy super glue. Let's see here. Oops. Goodness. Okay. Apply a little bit to the back. And plop it down right here. Yeah, I think that's pretty even. Might be even down a little bit. Just gonna let that dry for a second. In the meantime, I went ahead and I threaded a Glover needle with fire line. I like to use this on my edging. It's very strong and durable and sturdy, and it's very thin. I'm just going to use this when I edge a single. I'm not going to double it up. So I can go ahead and prepare the end of it. Just burn it and pinch it so it's thin. Okay, I'll set that aside. And remove this back, and then just going to slide this on just to make sure that it lines up, that it fits. And then I'm going to use this Gorilla Glue. This is similar to the E600, but it dries a lot quicker. So that's why I like to use this. And I'm just going to put a thin layer on the back. Again, making sure I don't go too close to the edge. Making sure I get some on the metal post. It's just a thin layer. Oh, I forgot to turn notifications off on my phone, but that's okay. And then this really doesn't, this piece of, because it's split, doesn't really matter which side. And then I'm just going to press it down, smooth it out. See, I felt that. There was a piece of fuzz under there. I felt it. of my coffee. And then I'm going to use these. These are just, I don't know, what is it, mustache trimmer or something. I like it because of the curved end. And I'm going to use that to trim around the edge. Going as close as I can. My daughter made avocado toast with sprouts, and she's drinking a seltzer. Just heard it pop now. It makes me want to have one. There we go. Okay, so we move the earring backs out of the way. These are the size 10 Cheyenne Pink opaque beads, and I'm just going to spill a little out right here so I can pick through and choose. It doesn't really matter where you start to edge. I'm just going to do this simple edging technique right here. So I'm gonna, because I'm using a Glover needle, I'm gonna use this thimble, which is actually, it's a metal thimble inside of a leather covering. And I use the leather covering because it just provides grip when the needle, when you use it to push the needle. I'm just gonna put it on my finger like this, and I'll use it to push the needle through. So I'll start here, and I'm gonna start from in between the backing, and I don't know why the focus isn't really, let me come in a little. So I'm going to start between, and I'm going to come close to the beads on the other side as I can. This needle is so tiny. Then I'm going to make sure that this little melted knot lays flat. Like that. And pinch it between. Now, when you start this type of edging, you first want to pick up 2 beads. So I picked up 2 beads on my needle. Don't mind my fingers. Now I have glue. There's glue on my finger. There's super glue left over. Anyway, don't mind me. So I'm going to pick up those 2 beads that just popped off. Let me put this back in the frame so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to come over like the space of 1 bead away. And I'm going to come up through the second bead. There. Now the reason why you start with 2 is because you're going to go all the way around the edge, and then your last bead you're going to come down through this one, and that's going to complete it and make it seamless. So you won't be able to tell where you started. There won't be any knots or anything like that. Now you can continue on and just pick up 1 bead. Okay, let me move some stuff out of the way. trying to hold my hand steady as I'm trying to work is okay, I caught my thread around the tripod. Oh goodness. Let's see. What did I do? Bear with me. There we go. And I like my beads to touch. So I'm spacing them as best I can. This is the back so far. Maybe if I keep it on the table, it'll keep it from moving too much. I don't know what this edging technique is called. I call it simple edging because there's, it's nothing fancy. It's just simple. My hands are a little shaky because I've had more than 2 cups of coffee. It's a rainy day, so you need to have an ongoing and endless cup of coffee on rainy days, I think. So the reason why I used, you can back this earring. I could have backed it in the smoked hide that I used to bead on, but because if you can see it's very thick, I just wanted to not bulk up the earring and make it heavier. So I just used a buckskin split. A split just means that they take the hide and split it, exactly what the name is, just split it to get like 2 or 3 pieces out of one hide, and it just makes it thin. Oops, I picked up 2 beads by mistake. So instead of taking my needle out, let's try and clip it again. In my last video, I cut my thread too, but there we go. That one worked. Sometimes it's easier just to snap a bead than take the needle off and rethread it. But I don't know, if you don't want to sacrifice a bead, maybe it's worth it. I'm gonna pull the end of my thread a little more so I don't have to. There. Well. And when I do edging, I pull pretty taut. I don't like a loose edging. And that's why I like to use the Fireline or even Wildfire thread, because it doesn't stretch. Whereas if you use the Nymo thread, I find that it stretches, so maybe you can't get the beads as tight as you would like. I don't know, some people use it for edging and they like it, but I'm just used to using the Wildfire or the Fireline. It's funny how all the beaders get into their own routines and their preferred ways of doing things. I know, like, 2-needle beaters, it's hard to do 1 needle, and 1-needle beaters, it's hard to do 2 needles, and people are always debating what's better. But I think whatever you've mastered is the best. I mean, some work you can't tell if anybody's, what technique they've used. The 1 needle or 2 needle. Okay, so I just have a little knot here. It happens. It's not really a knot, but there we go. Just the end got tangled. I don't like how that bead is laying, so this is just a pin. Wow, this is glue, okay? This is not my skin. That looks so shabby. Okay, this is the one. So I'm just gonna, there we go. It was laying kind of crooked, so I just kind of straightened it out a little bit. There we go. These earrings are so cute. I really wanted to make just a small pair of earrings that weren't on a hook or a dangle, just for the fun of it. I'm contemplating doing a larger project, like a medallion or something like that. I haven't done a medallion, so I kind of want to challenge myself. I haven't done a beaded rope either, so I think that would be fun. I like to learn new skills in beading. So that's my next goal, I think, is a medallion with a beaded rope. I've watched a lot of tutorials, so I'm pretty confident that I could attempt it, the beaded rope. And I have the supplies to do it. I have the parachute cord and the beads, obviously. So we'll see. I don't know if I want to do a beaded rope for my medallion or like fire cut beads and maybe bone pipe or whatever they call that. I think that's pretty too. I don't know. Maybe I'll just like make the medallion and then see where we go from there. And I think I want to make it, woodland floral or something akin to some Wabanaki or Penobscot old beadwork. There's a few things that I have saved, some pictures for inspiration of some old beadwork in the museum. So we're coming up soon to to the other side, and I'll be able to show you how I finish it off. I don't sign my work, but that's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. How to go about doing that in a way that's not obtrusive or take away from the design. My husband suggested like a brand, you know, like a iron branding. I went on, I think it was Etsy, and I saw that they do sell them. But I don't know, I would do like my initials, I think, and then maybe the year, but then you would have to get a new brand to change the year. So I don't know. It looks kind of like the little brand that I saw. It looks kind of like a pen, obviously a little thicker than a pen. And then the little brand heats up, and I guess you can just stamp your leather. And I don't know if it would work on vinyl or if it would melt it too much. So I've been contemplating. They're expensive. They're like $200 at least, you know, to get the stamp included. So it's something I'm just like thinking about. Or I saw some people sign the back of their work with embroidery. They'll embroider like their initials, but I think do I want to commit to that, having to embroider my initials every time? I could use a pen. I thought about, like, I have a fine tip gold pen or a silver pen. I don't want to use a Sharpie. I could use a Sharpie, but I want it to be more fancy. So that's some things that I'm thinking about for the future. I don't know if anybody has any ideas or examples of what they do. I mean, I would love to hear. Comment. Oh my God, I feel like a YouTuber. Comment down below. Yeah, if anybody has any ideas, or if anybody has used a brand, one of those brand stamps. Also, I thought of stamping and embossing. You know, they have the embossing liquid but I don't know how that would work on leather. You can stamp and then use like a heater, like a little heat gun to melt the embossing liquid. So, I don't know. If anybody has any ideas, recommendations, I would love to hear it. Okay, so I'm coming up. I don't know if I'll be able to fit 3 beads here, I think, or 2. Oh, I hit a hard spot. Oh, there we go. Oh, geez. I think I fit 1 more bead. Even though it looks like you could fit 2, it's probably only 1. Okay, now let me zoom in so I can show you what I do. And I'll have a sip of coffee. Are you drinking coffee with me? Or tea? Okay, so I'm going to come down. This is the first bead, 2 beads that I started with. So I'm going to come down through the first bead that I started with. And I'm going to pull it through, and then I'm going to go through to the back Okay. Then I'm going to turn my work around and I'm going to come up through the bead. And then I'm going to pull it tight. See? And it pulls that closer together, and that's why you only needed one bead. Well, now how do you finish it off? So I'm going to pull tight. And then I'm going to go back down through the bead beside it. You can choose whichever. Maybe I'll come down the one over here. This little fuzz. Pull it tight. And then I'm going to go through to the back, through to the front, and through to the back. But I'm going to try and make it so you can't see that from the front. And that's just to hold the thread tight. Oh man, my nails look atrocious. Turn it around. I'm going to try not to come back through the same spot, but just a little ways away. And that's just to anchor the thread more. So if it should let go, it's not going to unravel. And then through the back one more time. Ouch, I poked myself. Oops, just a little one. Okay, so you can see you can't see where I did that. Just kind of blends in. So now that it comes out through the back and it's anchored, it's not going to unravel, I'm going to clip the thread. This thread is sometimes hard to clip. There, so no knots, and then I'm just going to melt it. And push the lighter against it. There. And it melts in and is flat. Here I did the same thing on that one. Let me zoom out. And there we go. 2 earrings. Let me put the backs on them. And when I'm finished this video, I can go and clean all the glue off my fingers. Look at that. I even have paper stuck to it. It's okay. So there we go. It's adorable little earrings. Thanks for watching, guys.